Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at a single, really striking narrative. It's an eyewitness account from a naval doctor.
And we're going to use it as a map, sort of, to
Yeah.
explore the terrifying power of habit, of custom, and addiction.
The whole thing kicks off with the most casual request you can imagine, a simple glass of cognac. But what he shares next is this chilling story.
It really is. And it reveals how one substance can be this global destroyer, but also deliver its most brutal judgment right in your own backyard.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack that dual observation the doctor makes. Because when he holds that glass, that golden liquid, up to the light, he doesn't just see a drink.
No, not at all. He sees a force. I mean, his language immediately gets elevated. He calls it the charming poison.
The seductive murderer, the delicious destroyer of people.
Exactly. I mean, that's not just someone saying drinking is bad. This is a profound, almost mythological view of destruction. It set these incredibly high moral stakes for the story he's about to tell.
And that phrase, seductive murderer, it tells you everything. He respects its power, even as he completely condemns it.
And that condemnation, it works on two totally different scales.
On the one hand, you have this grand historical view. He talks about seeing the stuff, alcohol, brought in round little barrels by these otherwise placid English sailors.
And what does it do?
It just wipes out, in his words, a tribe of savages, a little kingdom of Negroes. It's this huge, anonymous, sweeping tragedy.
It's the tragedy of empire, really. A simple commodity comes in from the outside and becomes this catastrophic agent of historical erasure.
But that's not what really gets to him. The true terror for the doctor isn't that distant, impersonal body count.
No. The real horror, the thing that fuels his condemnation, is local.
Yeah.
It's a specific recent tragedy he witnessed himself, right there in the hard, cold landscape of Brittany.
He brings it right down from the geopolitical to the deeply personal.
And to get that horror, you really have to understand the environment he was in, near Pont-l'Abbé. The setting is...
Right.
It's everything.
It's not just background scenery. It feels like an active, almost malevolent character in the story.
Absolutely. The coast is flat, it's cold, there's this relentless whistling wind that's just always tearing through the gorse. But the thing that really defines it are the stones.
The Colossus de Greny.
Yes, these ancient, enormous stones. They're everywhere, standing or lying down. And he describes them as looking like they're poised to move, or even to fly.
It gives the whole landscape this feeling of restless power. This very deep, unsettling energy, like nature is just waiting for its moment to crush you.
And that energy is perfectly mirrored by the sea, this brutal, dominating force on the horizon. The water is full of these dangerous black-headed reefs.
He says they look like waiting dogs, with foamy saliva on top.
It's a sea that, as he puts it, swallows them like pills, just turns their boats over with a little shake.
So when you're living that close to death every single day, I guess it's not a huge surprise that this fatalism, this drinking culture, they become completely tangled up.
And this is where all common sense just breaks down completely under the weight of tradition. They have this local saying.
Oh, it's just heartbreaking.
It seals their doom. When the bottle is full, they say, you see the reef, but when it is empty, you don't see it anymore.
Let's just pause on that for a second. That saying is a perfect, self-fulfilling prophecy of oblivion.
It is.
The one thing they use for a little escape, to get away from the cold and the wind and the sea, is the very thing that guarantees they won't see the danger that's coming to kill them. It's a mechanism for voluntary suicide.
And you see it transmitted silently through the family. I mean, the domestic reality is so grim. You go into a cottage, you ask a wife where her husband is.
She doesn't panic. She doesn't raise an alarm.
No, she just points to the dark, groaning sea. He stayed in it one evening when he had drunk a little too much. And she knows. She knows her sons are probably headed for the same fate.
It's an inherited destruction, almost sacramental.
And that fatalism is the foundation for the specific story he tells. The baptism of his gardener's son. The gardener is named Carondec.
Right. So the doctor agrees to be godfather. This is around Christmas. And Carondec, right away, shows you his priorities. He borrows 10 francs, supposedly, for the church fees.
The ceremony is set for January 2nd. And the conditions on that day are they're crucial to the horror that follows. The cold is piercing, unforgiving.
The ground is covered in this livid and hard snow. He says it was cold enough to split the dolmens.
A cold that feels like a burning ice. Something that wants to torture anything alive.
So Carondec arrives with his sister-in-law, Kermagon, and a nurse who's carrying the infant, all wrapped up. They get to the church, but the door's locked. The priest is late.
And right here is when the first shocking moment happens. The first, you could say, baptism of this child
It's
begins.
horrifying.
The nurse sits down on a stone right there in that piercing air, and she deliberately starts stripping the baby naked.
He thinks at first, maybe the baby is wet, but no.
No. She's making the infant completely naked, miserable, all naked, he says, exposing him directly to that freezing air. It's a deliberate act.
And the doctor's reaction is, it's pure outrage. He's a medical professional. He rushes forward, demanding to know why they're trying to kill this child.
It's a total clash, isn't it? Modern medical sense versus this ancient, unyielding tradition.
And the nurse's response is just unnerving. She's so calm, as if the doctor is the one being irrational.
Oh no, monsieur not maître. He must wait for the good Lord all naked.
That phrase says everything. It's not about the child's survival. It's about respecting the usage, the custom.
And the father, Karandek, and the aunt, they just stand there, tranquil.
Yeah.
They're convinced that if they break this ritual, something terrible will happen to the child later.
So this horrific ritual is meant to prevent misfortune.
By nearly causing death in the present, the doctor tries to cover the baby, but the nurse just runs away with him in the snow. He has to stand there and watch as the baby's skin turns this awful, fatal-looking violet color.
He's about to just walk away from them, to abandon these brutes, as he calls them, and that's when the priest shows up.
Which brings us to the next point of friction. The man of God. The doctor just unloads all his fury on the priest, begging him to understand the danger.
And the priest is completely unmoved.
Doesn't speed up, doesn't even change his expression. He just confirms, yep, this is the custom. There's nothing they can do. And when the doctor begs him to hurry to save the child,
He just says, I cannot go any faster.
that passivity, that sacred tortoise slowness he describes, it's just as much a part of the tragedy as the freezing air. The institution is prioritizing the ritual over the actual human being suffering right in front of it.
It's this total inability to apply mercy, to adapt, even when you're looking at a dying child.
But you have to wonder, too, is he just being cruel? Or is he actually powerless against a cultural force that's probably older than the church itself in that region?
That's a good question.
If he had rushed it, would he have shattered their whole belief system? For the doctor, though, it doesn't matter. The sight of that white surplice moving so slowly while the baby is howling. He said it felt like another layer of snow, just torturing the child.
So the ceremony is in agony. It finally ends. The child is just screaming this sharp, painful cry, and the doctor, he switches right back into medical mode. He tells Karandek to rush home, warm the baby, gives him specific advice.
The crisis seems like it's over, but it's really just beginning.
Right, because he can't even focus on the baby because the priest immediately comes over.
For money?
For money. He demands 5 francs for the fees. And the doctor, who's already furious, refuses. He knows he gave Karandek 10 francs for exactly this.
This isn't just about 5 francs. It's a battle over who is truly corrupt here. The priest threatens to tear up the register, to annul the whole agonizing ceremony.
Which is just absurd. So the doctor threatens him back, says he'll call the public prosecutor. But in the end, the institution wins. The doctor pays the fee himself.
And that just solidifies his suspicion about where that first 10 francs really went. So he races to Karandek's cottage. He needs to see that the baby is safe.
And the scene he finds is just desolate. It's damning. The mother is alone in her bed, shivering, starving. She hasn't eaten since the day before.
When he asks where everyone is, the father, the aunt, the nurse, her answer is so passive. No surprise, no anger.
They both have been to fête, to the party.
Exactly. That 10 francs didn't go to the church. It went to the celebration, to the alcohol. And the doctor realizes this baby's life is in the hands of people who value a drink over their own child.
He sends for bouillon, orders a fire to be made, but the anxiety, the fury, it's still there.
And it was completely justified. By 6 that evening, the baptism party still hadn't come home. The doctor finally goes to sleep, just exhausted by it all.
And the news comes at dawn. His servant brings the shaving water, and the doctor immediately asks about the Karandek family.
The servant hesitates, and then he just delivers this devastating summary of the night.
Yeah.
Karandek, Kermagan, and the nurse got back after midnight.
So drunk they could not walk.
So drunk they'd probably slept in a ditch somewhere. The infant, after that baptism by ice, had died during the night. They hadn't even noticed.
The cold and the custom did their work, and the doctor just leaps out of bed. But the story somehow gets even darker.
It does. It shifts from this tragic neglect to active, reckless self-destruction. The servant explains that when the mother saw her dead baby, she started to cry.
And How did the baptism party try to console her?
With more alcohol, the father, the aunt, the nurse,
Yeah.
they gave the grieving mother eau de vie.
Unbelievable.
But that ran out pretty quickly. And here, this is the final, ultimate twist. This shows the depth of their addiction, their need for escape. Karandek went and got the lamp essence,
The mineral essence the doctor himself had given them for light?
and they started drinking it, the toxic surrogate.
All four of them. The three from the party and the mother.
All four of them. They drank the poison until the container was empty. The doctor grabs his cane, he says, with the resolution to hit all these human beasts, and just runs to the cottage.
And he finds this full tableau of destruction.
Karandek, the guard, and Kermagan are just passed out, snoring on the ground from the fumes and the poison. And beside the tiny blue corpse of her child is the mother, agonizing drunk on mineral essence. She died around noon. The child got a lethal baptism by ice and custom. The parents got their final lethal baptism by toxic alcohol.
And that's where the story of the tragedy ends. But the doctor is the one telling it. And his own final action is what completes the circle.
It is. He's just finished recounting this.
Yeah.
This absolute horror, this total condemnation of the source of all this destruction. And what does he do?
He picks up the bottle of eau de vie, the very same substance.
He pours himself another glass. He looks at the warm, perfidious liquid in the lamplight. He even compares it to melted topaz juice. He sees its beauty, its warmth, its deceptive glow. This poison he just spent all this time condemning.
And then, without another word, he drinks it. In one go.
So what does this extraordinary, unsettling conclusion mean for you, the listener?
Well, this account really illustrates the terrifying strength of these ingrained destructive habits. These customs. They can completely override your most basic survival instincts.
Whether it's the belief that freezing your own baby will bring it good luck,
Or that automatic impulse to find oblivion in a bottle, even if the only thing left to drink is literal poison. These customs operate so far outside the boundaries of common sense.
and they lead to these rapid, catastrophic consequences. It doesn't matter if it's in some distant kingdom or right in your neighbor's cottage.
But it's that final action from the narrator, from the doctor, that's the most powerful commentary here.
Absolutely. The intellectual observer, the man who saw the horror up close, who detailed it, who condemned the seductive murderer, he immediately consumes it himself. So what does that suggest about the true, almost inescapable power of habit over our own reason?
That knowing a thing is a poison, even knowing it intimately, is completely separate from the ability to resist it.
It makes you ask, doesn't it? What habits do we condemn in others while maybe quietly indulging in them ourselves?
A heavy but a really necessary challenge to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these striking and, I think, unforgettable observations.